Welcome back to another episode of Catching Up with Coach. We had a big win last night in the association over the Philadelphia 76ers. Scotty Barnes at the foul line sinks his first free throw. Then he goes up to the line, looks back at the bench, says, "Hey, can I miss this one?" And he fools Darko and he fools Nick Nurse. Ball hits the rim. Game over. And I think they needed that to happen because you never know with little plays like that with 0.8 seconds. That's enough to get a shot off, quite honestly, even though it's a little improbable that they make that shot. But you never want to go into that situation if you don't have to. The biggest thing that I want to discuss today is I may be having a guest or two coming up. This is not going to be a long episode. This is just going to about 5 p.m. The bench mob being one and Gradey Dick being the other. About 7, 8, 9 years ago, we developed a bench mob. Fred Van Vliet was a part of it. OG Anunoby was also a part of it. Pascal Siakam was a part of it. Jakob Perl was a part of it. DeLon Wright was a part of it before the championship. Norman Powell was a part of it. So we had a lot of guys that were kind of on this bench mob unit. And it was the last year of DeMar DeRozan's season in Toronto. And when you watch the games those years, funny thing is the bench in many games did better than the starters. Fred was really starting to come along. Pascal was getting more playing time. Norman Powell was really coming into his game along with Jakob Pertl. So there was a lot that was going on at that time in terms of what the Raptors were trying to do. The Raptors now, not in the place that team was in, because that team had a foundation of success leading up to it. But they are starting to develop a bit more of a foundation through draft picks the last few years. It's more or less been the last 2 years. Jamal Shed, Jacoby Walter, Colin Murray Boyles, Mamu, new free agent signing, Gradey Dick, Jamison Battle. So the Raptors have been developing this new kind of bench mob. And Darko was pretty consistent on playing 9, 10 guys. Give him credit for that. But here's the conundrum of it all. And it's Gradey Dick. Gradey Dick is looking like he's the odd man out of all of this. Like out of the bench mob, the starters. And this is a guy that started for the first 2-3 months of the year last year. All right, I should say he started most of the year before they just basically shut him down and the whole team down. But now it's changed. And I'm bringing my first guest on Catching Up with Coach stream, bringing him up to the stage. And we're bringing on my friend. Hopefully it will load here soon. My friend, Mouth of the North, is coming up. He is a Gradey Dick fan. He certainly has a lot to say about this, and hopefully this will work here, people, so I can bring him up because I know he has some good points to make about Gradey Dick and Darko and the lack of flexibility that seems to be coming up over this issue. So we're just waiting for Mouth to come up here.
Can you hear me?
I see that is loading until I see him. For now, we will continue talking about just about the bench mob. Hopefully this will come up soon and we'll be able to join Mouth of the North. Now we have him up. Mouth of the North, can you hear me? We might be having some technical difficulties. Anything from Mouth? Maybe you're having some technical difficulties. We hope that this will come up soon. But I guess the point that we're trying to make is we are in the conundrum with Grady Dick. How did we get here? I know Mouth, if he's able to come up, will have a fair amount to say about this. But Mouth, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mouth? We have Mouth of the North. Don't know if he can hear me. Not sure if it's working.
Hello.
Mouth. Can you hear me?
It's weird. I cannot hear you.
You cannot hear me. We are live with Mouth of the North. We're trying to get some audio things figured out. We don't know really what's going on. Anyways, he just dropped. We'll see if we can get him back. But yeah, we've been discussing a little bit about Grady Dick, kind of what's going on lately with Grady. And it hasn't been good. This whole year has not been good. And you wonder if this trend actually started in his rookie season when they sent him to the G League. They had some plan for him, some conditioning plan. It lasted like 7 days, and then he was back with the big team, and he was contributing on a regular basis. This is his first year. Remember, it was just after New Year's, more or less. And then the next year, when it was rebuild, and the whole team was basically hurt. We then got Grady Dick. He was a starter. Started with RJ and quickly and Scotty Pirtle. That five barely played any minutes together. Couldn't gel. Couldn't get anything going. And the mission statement for the team was we want to lose as many games as possible. But in those first 2 months of the year, it was quite revealing to the team. Grady Dick was second in sophomore scoring around the first month and a half of the year. He's getting like 18 to 20 a game. He looked really good. Offensively, it was something that we so desperately needed from this team with what he was able to do, his particular skill set that he was able to bring. He was shooting the ball very well. He was getting his offense off in many different ways, not just catch and shoot. It was off the dribble. It was getting to the basket. It was in the mid-range. He was such a threat out there to shoot. And it was really encouraging to see. Mouth, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We hear you perfect. First of all, we are just discussing Grady Dick, and I kind of gave you a little introduction on how you are a Grady Dick fan. We both are. You particularly liked him from the draft. And
yes,
we're talking about the Grady Dick conundrum on what's going on. So I've heard a little bit about what you have said about in our chat group. So would you like to tell the audience what you think is going on with this whole conundrum with Grady?
Well, I wish I had more concrete answers. What I see is a kid that's lacking confidence. I see someone who's been squeezed out by multiple trades and draft picks. I am seeing someone who started 54 games last year out of 54 attempts, who now has played 40 games without a start. He's been surpassed by 11 other players in the depth chart and is tied with Ochai, making him tied for 11th. I have not seen a fall of a first-round draft pick like this in quite some time. I don't know why he's been squeezed out, but Darko clearly doesn't trust him. And he's willing to start just about anybody else on this roster other than him. And it's very frustrating for me as a fan and to watch someone with this kind of talent have his confidence shattered by a coach that clearly doesn't see him in his plans.
Yeah. No, it's frustrating. I was saying how did we get to this point? Remember in his rookie year, they didn't play him at all, and they had this conditioning plan, which they sent to the G League. It lasted about 7 days. I think it was supposed to last like 2 or 3 weeks. Gradey was back with the team by the new year. And mind you, the season was lost, but he was still producing after the new year of his first rookie season. And then last year, we got to, let's throw away this season more or less, but let's have it like as a season where we start to see things from guys. What do some of these guys have? And Grady Dick was probably the biggest surprise for most of the team that year. Would you say that's the case or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Now for me, I had been watching him in college in Kansas for a while, and certainly thought that he could be um, an effective scorer for this team. I thought his defense was going to be a work in progress, and they were going to go after him early in his career. He certainly improved that this season, which he's been asked to do. But last year, when he got a chance to actually play significant minutes and get the ball in his hands, and they were running a few things for him, he certainly showed in a short stretch of time that he can be an effective offensive player. What happened, in my opinion, is IQ came back from injury, and he stopped getting the volume of shots that he got early in the season. And that led to his lessening production. He still shot 35% from three, and he was still getting to the line a lot. And he was averaging 14 points a game, which for him in a second season as a 20-year-old is pretty damn good. And then he hurt his knee. He hyperextended his knee. I don't think that that's an injury that would have kept him out the final 28 games of the season. But the Raptors had other plans. They also told BI to sit. And I don't think that should have cost him his starting spot. Now, obviously, they made the trade for BI, and they also drafted two other guards. If you count CMB as a guard, he can play multiple positions. And they already had a boatload of guards on the team. And so he's been squeezed out. I don't understand why. And it doesn't seem to matter what he does on either end of the floor. I mean, he's a plus 85 this year, plus minus is not the only stat to, with regards to that. He still fouls a lot and he still has trouble defending. But offensively, he's completely fallen apart. It's like he's completely lost his confidence, Coach.
Yeah. It reminds me of one Raptor that couldn't, that was just ruined by Nick Nurse. Malachi Flynn.
Yeah.
Right. Now, Flynn, did he have his own struggles and his own challenges? Sure. But Nick Nurse did not help the situation at all when you put him on for a bit and then you take him back off. Flynn was always looking over his shoulder. I fear, even though this is apples and oranges a little bit, because Gradey obviously has more of a resume than Flynn ever did. But I fear that Gradey is falling into that right now with Darko, looking over his shoulder if he's not producing, especially on the defensive end, which, to be fair to Gradey this year, this is the best defense he's ever played.
Yeah. It's very frustrating watching him try to struggle through that, which is not his strongest part of his game, and then being almost fearful of missing shots. Like, if you watch him shoot in games, it looks like he has very little confidence that the ball's going to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he drives, he's not getting the whistle, which is a normal thing for the Raptors. Scotty Barnes doesn't get the whistle, so don't expect Grady Dick to get the whistle. But when he does drive in, he goes in thinking that he can score, but then doesn't have the confidence to finish. And so that limits him offensively. And then, Darko's looking at it like, well, if he's not taking shots, I'm going to take him off the court. And his leash is so short right now. I don't know any player, let alone a third-year guard who's 21 years old, who would have any sort of confidence in playing for a guy that he knows doesn't believe in him. They've messed with his shot mechanics from the beginning of his career. I don't know what kind of impact that's had on him, but he clearly isn't shooting with any confidence right now.
No, he's He's not. He's shooting like 30. He's shooting 32% from three.
Yeah.
Would you ever, in your wildest dream, think Grady Dick would be shooting 32% from three?
No. I've said this on privately with you. I think that he's at a point now where I don't think that he's long to be a Raptor with Darko as his coach. I think that he's going to need a fresh coach or a new team in order to fulfill his potential. I just don't think Darko has any confidence in him, and they run nothing for him offensively. And because he's sort of afraid to sort of take it, by the horns himself, like a Jacoby or even an Elijah Martin yesterday, because he's worried if he misses a few shots, he's going to get taken off the court and is instead trying to make the right play. Then you see games where he has 11 minutes and one shot attempt and not much of anything else. And so him bereft of confidence and going through the motions is going to lead to a player that's not trusted by his coach and is not seeing a lot of time on the floor.
Mouth, am I on your screen right now?
You are.
Okay. On my screen, I'm not seeing myself. Okay. I'm starting to see some of the comments now. We got Beyond the Locker Room.
Yes.
Hey, guys.
There we go.
We got our free Grady. Yes. You are absolutely right, Beyond. Absolutely right. Yes. For some reason, I do not see myself, but that is okay. That is okay. Free Grady. I had a conversation with you guys, and last year, I remember the Raptors were playing the Minnesota Timberwolves. Scotty was playing, RJ was playing, whole team was more or less playing. Jaden McDaniels was guarding Grady Dick. He wasn't guarding Scotty. He wasn't guarding RJ. He was guarding Grady. Now, why? Grady presented the most threat offensively during that time. This was right around that first, month or two of the season when Grady was doing really well. Again, he was the second leading scorer, sophomore scorer. And the trajectory looked like it was going to be very promising for Grady. Unfortunately, that just has not amounted to anything. Ever since Quickly has come back from that injury last year, we've watched Grady's numbers decline. Now, is that to say you got to blame Quickly? No, but it must be something how Grady Dick, the Gatorade High School Player of the Year to Rookie of the Year at Kansas, I think it slips my mind what conference they play in right now, to being supposed to be a top 10 pick to falling to 13th with this offensive skill set that is particularly good for today's NBA to now, averaging 6 points a game, not really contributing. It's worrisome because we need his skill set. If we don't have the skill set of Grady Dick, like we're in trouble. We need that skill set to kind of get to the next level. If someone gets hurt, I mean, that would be great to have that skill set from last year come into this year, but it's not worked, unfortunately. Yeah. Mouth, do you hear me?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to leave for a second. Yeah. I don't know, Coach. Kenyon's putting in some comments there. I said this a month ago, and I kind of knew from the beginning of the season that this could be a problem for him specifically. That once they brought BI in, and even Mamu to a certain extent, that his minutes were going to get crushed, and that's kind of what's happened. So at this point, I mean, it depends on what you think of this team, Coach, because I still don't really know what to think of this team. I think they've been a great fourth quarter defense. They've stole a lot of games at the end with great defensive play in the fourth quarter. They haven't shot the ball well at all. Their offense has been average, but their defense has been great when it matters. And so I'm trying to figure out what this team is. But I think at this point, and I don't think they're going to do this, but I think Gradey's going to be put in some sort of trade at some point because I just don't see him fitting in with Darko's system.
Yeah. Yes. To our audience, my apologies. I had a tech issue. I think I'm back now. I think people can see me. Thank you, Beyond, for letting me know. But Mouth, you're right. I don't know. It seems like Darko and staff have made their rotation pieces more known. Here's what I was mentioning. Here's the last point, because I know we have to go in a few minutes. Everybody in the rotation has started a game this year except who?
Gradey.
Jacoby has started. Shed has started. Mamu has started. Murray Bowles has started. Ochai has started, who's not in the rotation. Gradey Dick has not started. The guy who started last year for the team. And when he did, he was producing anywhere from like 14 to 20 points a game. Why? What's the change?
Yeah. I'd love for someone to ask him, Raptors Republic, if you're out there listening to Coach, can someone ask this question? Because, like, no one's really talking about Gradey. No one's really asking these questions like they were in his first couple of years. Everyone's just saying he sucks, especially online. It's like, can someone ask this question? Can someone, like, they've asked Darko about why Ochai wasn't in the starting lineup, and he said, I just went with someone else. So it's like, can someone ask him about Gradey? Because he's just sort of sitting there, limp on the bench, like when you're having trouble scoring, and they have had trouble scoring in the last few weeks, like, we're talking games 97, 96. They're the game against Philly last night in the second and third quarter. I think Philly went on like a 25-3 run or something between the second and third quarter and just took over that game because they couldn't score. Now, the Raptors came back and won, and my God, I don't know how they won that game, but they did. But they go through these droughts where they can't score and they can't hit a three if their life depended on it. Like, they're shooting like 25% from three and finding ways to win games. It's like you would think you'd want to involve what you believe could be your best three-point shooter in your offense. I don't know. Just me.
Yeah. Beyond has said, as I told you guys, we're building for the future with Shed and Martin.
Oh, my God.
I mean, look, I like Shed. Shed has been actually pretty good from three-point land this year. I like Martin, but he's not going to give me the offense, obviously, that Gradey Dick would. Not even close, right? Yeah, he's got a good point. Oh, and Van Hoot, thank you. I appreciate that. Andre, good to see you as well. Yes, Beyond. Why develop the first round picks? Why develop the guys who are top 15 picks in the draft? We don't seem to have an issue playing CMB. Not saying we shouldn't. I love his effort. I love what he brings defensively. I love his role that he knows. He doesn't try to do too much. I've never seen Gradey Dick try to do too much. If anything, we're asking Gradey, can you get a little Jacoby in your game and be a little bit more selfish? Because I have a feeling that if you got a little bit more selfish, your rhythm will come back, and then you'll start making some shots. Because I'm watching Gradey out there with not wide open shots, but definitely shots he can get off, and they're like airballing them. Gradey Dick doesn't do that. Why? Yeah. It's got to be right here.
Yeah, it's between the ears. Coach, the best example I can give you about how bad it's been for Gradey this year, other than Jameson battles 7 for 7, which won them a game earlier in the season, Elijah Martin, who's a second-round pick, I believe he's only played – this is the first game where he played a lot of minutes, okay? He played 29 minutes last night, took 11 shots. Believe it or not, folks, Gradey has not played 29 minutes in a single game this season, and he has not taken 11 shots in a single game this season. Think about that. Think about that, and tell me where this kid's confidence is and where the coach's mind is with this player. It's hard to overcome. I understand people saying you just got to do what you can with the minutes. It's very difficult to go from starting 54 games and playing 30 minutes a game to not starting a single game and playing 15 minutes a game and expecting the same impact.
It seems like everybody from this season has benefited except for one. Gradey.
Yeah.
Shed's benefited. Jacoby's benefited. CMB definitely has benefited. We're starting to see Elijah Martin more minutes. Obviously, quickly has benefited being back and healthy. Scotty's playing, I think, his best basketball of his career.
Yes.
Ingram is back for the most part. Well, Ingram's healthy for the most part and back. It's Pirtle. Pirtle's been hurt the whole time.
It's been Jacoby and Gradey, coach, that have suffered, believe it or not.
Jacoby and Gradey?
Yeah. Jacoby and Gradey have very similar numbers this year. If you look at their numbers, now I think Jacoby has a few more minutes than him, but their numbers are eerily similar. They've both sort of struggled this year to be consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. People, I really thank you. This is going to be, unfortunately, a short stream, but Mouth, I'm glad that you came on. You're one of the main Gradey Dick fans out there. I know you had the suit and everything, from draft day. That's awesome. We're big fans of him. We're just trying to make sense of it because Gradey has a skill set that this team kind of needs right now. Outside of Ingram, there ain't many guys getting their own shots on the team. And we saw it last year where Gradey could get his own shot. So we're waiting to see how this is going to develop and turn out. Because if you don't develop Gradey, you're going to be maybe in some trouble potentially. And if you don't develop and you try to trade him, good luck getting anything of value for him.
Yeah, they've killed his trade value, coach. I'll say one last thing before I go. The Raptors have clearly struggled from three, especially recently. You would think that they would try to get Gradey going in that circumstance, but they haven't even tried. And that's what frustrates me more than anything else.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Mal, thank you for coming on and joining. Beyond hopeful, Andre, thank you for coming on as well with your comments. I appreciate this. We'll be doing this every once in a while. Like, comment, and subscribe, people. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Mouth, please take care. We'll see everyone after. We'll see sometime, probably this week. Take care.